Today we're going to take a look at cleaning the Ooze Electro Barrel. The Electro Barrel is their all-in-one concentrate device. I really like this all-in-one feel because a lot of people came over from like other just premium device brands, and when Ooze made theirs, I think the biggest selling point was just the price. Picked up one of these. I actually picked up two of these. For the video, it would have been nicer to clean the purple one, but it's in pretty good shape at the moment. So today we're gonna focus on my black Electro Barrel. This one I had since launch. It is hit. And so you can see under the cap is just destroyed. Yeah, it's disgusting. Did take this to a music festival, and with a lot of people hitting it, just passing it around, it definitely just gunked up, and you can even see in the downpipe there, it just started leaking from the bottom. And so we're gonna take a look at cleaning this all the way through, bringing this back to life. So let's take a look at it. First thing, let's talk about what we're gonna need to clean this. So I use resolution wipes. I use resolution micro swabs. I use 91% isopropyl, or just any isopropyl you can get, but I use isopropyl alcohol. And I keep that contained in a Tupperware just to keep everything closed off if it spills or evaporates. And then I usually just have a paper towel as just like a cleaning surface. And one very important thing is a pipe cleaner. So the micro swabs work great, but they include a pipe cleaner. I've used mine quite a bit, so I have just other textured pipe cleaners that you can get out there. This is necessary to clean the downpipe that goes from your atomizer base to your water base. And so it's not very long. You can get away with a short pipe cleaner like this, but you absolutely need one of these to get the proper clean out of a C-core device. So to get started, let's take our paper towel, just as a cleaning surface. Once we have the barrel, we want to take off our glass pieces. So that's just our water tank, our down tube. So let's take that out. And then you have a silicone sort of lip in here. To get that out, what I usually do, I don't even have that long of nails, but you can just kind of put your finger in, get it under one of those lips, and it'll kind of pull away, and then you can just sort of pull it off of the base like that. So we have these. We'll set the base to the side for a second. These will be the three things that will soak in ISO. Our water tank, our silicone, and the down tube. We'll just take out our Tupperware, fill it up with ISO, put those in, let those soak, and we'll be able to wipe those down with micro swabs and res wipes after they're done. Now that we have those soaking, let's take our base. What we want to focus on will be our top lid. This one is very gross. So we want to take out our atomizer, and we want to make sure we do this delicately because it will be pretty gross and there will be a lot of residue. So just twist that off and we'll see just how bad this is. Oh yeah, that's terrible. This is what music festivals do, kids. Glad we're getting this swapped out. So we'll clean the bottom of this and show you just how to get it back to where you want. And then what we want to do with a res wipe, just try and get as much residue as you can off of that top carb cap. So we have a little bit of a cleaner spot to work with. And then take some micro swabs, pinch the tip on the inside, twist, and you can pull them apart. I actually kind of pressed mine out just a little bit, but just to show what you'll want to do after you have that done. Mine was a little rough, but you'll take a swab and you'll press that carb cap out of the top of the lid here. You can actually soak this with your other items in the ISO, and this will actually just get in those grooves and open up that airflow a little more. All right, so now the device is basically in one piece, and we can start cleaning the airways and the atomizer connection at the top of the base. I'll sort of just use the solution that's on either the micro swabs, or if you have res wipes, these actually get just a little more damp with the solution that's on them. And so I'll usually press that in there and then just spin it around. And so even just a little bit, it's picking up what's down there. And so you can do that a couple of times. Get as much out of a res wipe as you can. You don't just want to be burning them for no reason. So just keep pressing it down there, twist, and try and get as much residue as you can. After that, just go back in with a swab. Try and clean as much as you can out of there. What we're gonna wanna do, take a swab. You'll see the direction of the down tube is just this hole right here. If you follow that up, you can kind of point your swab and you'll actually find that indent, and you just wanna make sure you get in there, spin your swab around, and you'll just pull out a little extra residue that's just hanging out in the top. So after we've cleaned our atomizer connection, we wanna make sure that our downpipe entrance is clean as well. So we wanna take our pipe cleaner, find our downpipe, we're gonna aim it at that bottom hole, kinda gotta twist it because it does bend. It kind of juts out to the side and then bends down. Because it is a little hard to get it to hit that bend from the top. So we're gonna try to go from the bottom. So just take your pipe cleaner and we're just gonna push that down tube all the way up. You'll actually see some residue pop out just a bit on the top once you push it all the way through. And then once you kind of hit that resistance, just pull it back. It's really not that tall because that atomizer sits really low. And so you should pull out quite a bit, and this will help unclog your airflow, because you could have a clean tank, clean downpipe, but the internal downpipe is still clogged. So that's what you have to open up, and that's what we're gonna do with the pipe cleaner here. And so after that, usually just slip it around, do that same motion again. Mine went up a lot easier that second time. Twist it around, let's try and get as much on there as possible. That's not too bad. We are gonna have a little bit of residue after we push out the residue in the down tube. Same deal, grab a res wipe. I'm gonna take this one I just used, try and just fill all the cracks, spin it around a couple times, and pull it out. We wanna make sure not to lose this little rubber O-ring that goes for the carb cap. This just helps it sit in there snug, and so just make sure to set that aside. Now we're gonna clean the atomizer. I am gonna replace it, but with this one, I'm just gonna show you how to clear off the bottom of it and make sure you can clear off the inside residue. We won't really be able to get too much on the actual Onyx atomizer, but we will be able to clean up around it and underneath. So same as always, take out a res wipe. We're just gonna kind of bunch it up a little bit because it will kind of seep through just a touch. Kind of get a nice coverage and then just twist it around. And that took quite a bit of that off. And we're just gonna fold that up and do that again. So just make sure we're wiping off that kind of metal band as well, because that is what's going to be making that final connection. And if that's already sticky, it'll just immediately fuse together with the now clean base that you have in the Electro Barrel. Once we're done with that, let's just pull off any loose kind of strings from that res wipe. That's looking pretty good. Now the inside of the atomizer, we can't really clear off the base of it too much. And so mine's pretty hit. And so we won't be able to clear that off, but what you can do is just take a micro swab and clear off a lot of that residue around the sides. That will build up and it won't really be able to get back to the center of that atomizer. So you want to clear that off so it doesn't just seep down the sides and then fill up the base of the atomizer, which is what happened to mine. So try and scoop that out as much as possible. You might even want to use a pipe cleaner for this because it has a little more texture. Once you have that cleared out, your atomizer is in pretty good shape. You want to make sure that it's dry before we put it back in. And then now we're pretty much in a spot to just do any final cleanup. So what I usually like to do with the barrel, it kind of just gets a little dirty around the sides and on the lid. So just take a res wipe and we're just gonna wash off any of those loose residue spots anywhere on the body. So make sure you get around the cap as well. So after we have that all wiped down, we're ready to reassemble. So let's just rethread our atomizer. So after you've taken your glass out of the ISO, you'll probably notice that you have some residue caught in these bottom corners. These micro swabs are kind of like the only things that are small enough to get in there. Just spin it around, try and get some of that last little bits of residue out of there. Dab that out. You just want to set these to the side and dry. With the carb cap, these holes are just so small. So just try and pop the air bubbles out of that, just so they're as clean as possible. So you could probably see before, my downpipe was just disgusting. So you can pass it through, and that's all clean. So we'll set that to the side. And the last piece is that silicone lip, which mine wasn't very dirty, but it's always good to just dig into these crevices because sometimes there's just buildup when you just don't know it. So we're gonna let those dry. And once that's all set, we're gonna reassemble our base. So first thing, we're gonna take that silicone lip. We're gonna line up the larger hole where the downpipe goes. Just press that back on. And then after that's on, we're gonna take our downpipe, stick it back in there until it stops. Wiggle it, make sure it's firm. Put that back on. Our atomizer is back in. And then, like I said, we didn't want to lose this little rubber gasket. So make sure that's pressed in there. And then we're just gonna take that carb cap and press that in there as well. Cleaner from the top. And that's it. That is a clean electro barrel.